Everywhere we go, laws prevail. In some way, shape, or form, there is a law of some sort, whether it is a social law that we've created in American society, or if you're in another country, that country's socio-political laws that they actually have. There are sociological laws like mores and customs and cultures that we've created. There are scientific laws like the laws of gravity that dictate our existence. And so everywhere we go, there is a law at play. That, in a nutshell, is why the law matters, right? The law as we know it, like the Constitution, statutes, various regulations that dictate our day-to-day lives here in America. In all facets of modern society, the law is going to intersect in some way, shape, or form, whether we like it or not. And it's no different with creativity and the arts, and for purposes of this series, film. One of my favorite quotes that I think does a very good job of not just describing the dynamic of the law, but the role of the lawyer is actually a quote by Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian. He said, "To me, a lawyer is basically the person that knows the rules of the country. We're all throwing the dice, playing the game, moving our pieces around the board, but if there's a problem, the lawyer is the only person that has actually read the inside of the top of the box." I think this hits the nail on the head with how the law intersects and creates those rules and how we play the game, as Seinfeld so eloquently put it. And lawyers are the ones who read the rules. And so when it comes to film and movie making, the law is going to be involved in that. Now, some might argue it's more of an artist's game, like let the movie maker make the movie, but the movie maker also has to make that movie within the realm of whatever laws allow them to do that. And not only that, but their movie is also their intellectual property. And as an IP associate, someone who has always been fascinated by creativity and storytelling and the creation process, I love intellectual property because the whole area of law is trying to figure out the boundaries of what can be protected by the law and what should belong in the public domain. Let's start out with looking at why film matters. Okay, I found a few statistics to help bolster my point. The global entertainment and media industry was $2.8 trillion in 2023. PricewaterhouseCoopers projected that industry to grow to 3.4 trillion in 2028. And then the Motion Picture Association states that the American film industry supports 2.32 million jobs, pays out $229 billion in total wages, and comprises more than 122,000 businesses. Numbers alone, economically, the movie industry, it's huge and it affects a lot of people. And that's just looking at the numbers. When you also think big picture, numbers like that are not going to get away with not having laws and regulations involved in some way. And so that is why film and the movie industry is so ripe for discussing intellectual property and other laws, because it is so large. It is such a big industry and it affects so many people. Along with all of that, the reason why I personally am drawn to this area, why I love movies, is because of my own upbringing and the cultural significance of movie making. Movie making, it's not just a business, even though there are a lot of people who would argue that at the end of the day, that's what it is. I disagree. I think that movie making, it's a form of storytelling, and storytelling is an innately human characteristic. We have always been storytellers, and movie making is a very powerful way to make your story known. For a lot of people, yes, film is business. For other people, film is an escape. It's just merely entertainment. You put it on to distract your kids while you clean the house or get work done. And then for other people, film is a very deeply meaningful construct of modern society that allows people to do meaningful work. It brings meaning to life in a way that we can't find it anywhere else in other areas of society. And so for those people, if you're also one of those people, you will like this series. Because if you'll allow me to get a little sentimental just for a few moments, growing up, I had a very run-of-the-mill, average middle-class American upbringing. I wanted for nothing. I had loving parents, a loving family. And I remember on the weekends when I was in elementary school, when my dad was stationed in Williamsburg, Virginia. He was a Navy corpsman for 23 years. And I remember on the weekends when my mom had to work, she was an ICU cardiovascular nurse. And so she would work back-to-back 12-hour shifts, Saturday and Sunday, and then every other Friday. And so on those days, I would go and spend the day starting from like 5 a.m. up until whenever mom got off. I would spend the day with my grandmother. And a core memory that I have from my childhood is growing up watching either Turner Classic Movies with her, which is just such a warm, loving memory. Her favorites were Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant. Watching Turner Classic Films with her, or the soap opera, depending on what channel she fell asleep to before I came over. All My Children, I believe, and As the World Turns, and Young and the Restless was also a big one in my household. So that's a different type of storytelling, but it's storytelling nonetheless. As I grew up, the weekends turned into time with my dad and my siblings. We would go to the movie theater or purchase something on Movies on Demand before Netflix came out. And I remember when Netflix came out and you could pick out whatever movie you wanted and have the DVD sent to you. That was so exciting to, rent those 3 movies that we picked, and we would watch them all in one weekend and then pick the next round for the next weekend. And then that turned into streaming. It's very fascinating to see the effect that technological advances in streaming and the digital revolution and now the AI revolution, how that is impacting film and storytelling. For me, movies are so important for my own personal development because they always have been. Whenever I would watch movies with my mom, she was one of those people where she would use movies to teach me. So she would find a movie that she loved or she just thought was really good at telling a certain story or just sharing a certain perspective on someone's life or an experience that I might not otherwise get. We would watch it together. And she was one of those mothers who would pause the movie and ask if I have any questions or, what are my thoughts on this? What am I thinking? Watching movies, it's almost always been about reflecting and discovering myself and the way that I feel and think about certain experiences that either I have had and that's why I liked the movie, or maybe I didn't like the movie because it made me think on those experiences in my life that I've had and that I can relate to, or it helped provide a perspective that I never would have had I not watched that movie. And those especially hold a very special place in my heart because movies in that way, storytelling, can help engender empathy in people. When we take the time to sit down and pay attention to someone's story that they put so much work and money and time into to make it a certain way. And when we take that time to sit down and watch it, that is like a form of love, if you ask me, to really sit down and pay attention and consider what you're watching. It's a beautiful thing. That's why it's such a powerful medium. You don't even have to just take my word for it. Movie making has always been a powerful medium, especially in the social sciences. My background is in anthropology, and I remember in my 101 classes, watching documentaries about other cultures and discussing the ethics around that and the effect that those movies actually had, which is a subject that I plan on discussing more because that goes to this idea of consent and privacy. Regardless of how you view film, whether it is an escape for you or entertainment, a method of reflection and personal growth, or just something you need to do to get the story out of you and to feel connected and have meaning in your life, this series is for you. if you want to learn a little bit more. You can expect 3 things every time you watch a video of mine in this series. A little bit of film history, a little bit of background on intellectual property and the laws that intersect with film history, and then of course I would be crazy if I didn't include a movie recommendation here and there. I hope to see y'all here next time. Please consider subscribing to my channel so you get notified whenever I drop the next one. Give me a follow on my channels at Kimber Marie James. I also have a second account where I do movie reviews. The handle for that is at Kimber's Film Notes. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, especially if you're a law student or a fellow attorney and you would love to chat and geek out about all things intellectual property. Have a great day, and I hope to see y'all next time.